From this point right here, we're at the IT compound behind the National Cemetery. We're cruising out of the parking lot. We'll come out to the street, and the road goes to the right and left. To the right will take you back down the hill to Russell Road, which leads to the bases of Quantico and also to I-95 and Route 1. As we turn left here, we're going into the backside of the National Cemetery. But through the woods to the right is I-95, and as we proceed further down the road, this road here will actually veer away from I-95, and there's a golf course that is in between the cemetery and I-95 as we come around the bend up here. This road is used mostly by maintenance facility vehicles that run back and forth from the compound across the street from the IT compound. Ahead on the right, there's like one of the work areas where they have leaf mulch and things like that. Some of the work vehicles are parked in there sometimes doing stuff. I think it's a kind of an out-of-sight storage area for things that they use. Also, probably some dirt back there that they use for where they've dug out and excavated from different spots. This road continues through. Up ahead on the left, there's like a mulch area. They have a little section fenced off where they store some of the ground-keeping materials. And you continue through these woods, and it's not uncommon in this area to see deer, wild turkey, and even occasionally foxes coming through here. Again, this is a nice long stretch that comes in. It's all wooded through here. And then as we come out of the woods, we'll approach the first roundabout, and it's right near the memorial walkway. Up ahead you can see where the trees break open. Now you can start to see the actual cemetery itself. The walkway to the right there is just another part of the memorial walkway, and it continues up along through the woods on the right side and then comes back out to the road again. There's a sign for the memorial walkway there. So there's two entrances, and it goes up into the woods there, and on the other side of the woods are more grave sites also. As we come up through here, we approach one of the ceremonial shelters that they use for actually conducting the ceremonies. And then there's a road that goes off to the right, and that goes to the grave sites towards the back area. We continue through this section. It's more of the grave sites that you see. And then we will approach the other shelter that they have up in the front, which is pretty close to the admin building for the cemetery itself. Off on the right up here, there's some of the workers were actually working with one of the sites, one of the grave sites. And on this particular day, there's a ceremony that's going on up ahead, after this roundabout, up ahead on the left, you can see the shelter up there. That's also where the access road is for getting to the Abel Cemetery. I made the choice to go around and not interrupt the ceremony. So after reversing my direction of travel, I went back up and took the left down to that road that cuts through the back area, and that's away from all of the ceremonial shelters that they have. Cutting through this section here, there's just you have more grave sites that are set up up and down the hill here, and this road kind of parallels the other road, and then they come together at the entrance to the cemetery itself. At the entrance, there's also the new administration building built. On the left there, you see one of the groundskeepers working. They take care of everything from irrigation to mowing all of the sites to even doing weed whacking around all of the headstones and everything like that. So they're very busy here. This roundabout takes us down into the bend. It brings us around to the front entrance of the cemetery. Ahead of you, you see the new administration building that's being built right at the gate that enters the cemetery from the front. And if you go to the left, it takes you back to the shelters and the other side of the graveyard that we were at. And then if you go to the right, this takes you out in front of the entry of the National Cemetery here. So this is a small stretch of road that takes you out to Joplin Road.
That is certainly traditional.
Okay, now we're back entering
September considered this for a moment.
Front gates at the
She
National
was a strong
Cemetery.
swimmer and would not likely
This is
drown.
coming
They
back in
hadn't
off
said
of
exactly
Joplin
that they meant to
Road.
eat anyone. Being
As
only
we
somewhat
enter through the
heartless,
gates,
she
you'll
could
see
not cradle a
the
trembling child in her arms and
administration
not feel
building
sorry
that's
for
currently
it.
under
She wanted to keep it from
construction
being
to the
tossed
right
overboard.
side.
She did not want to be a tithe, and she did not want to die, even a little bit. She did not even want to brush shoulders with the smallest chance of it.
This construction's supposed to be finished, I believe. Well, you know, I can't remember what the exact date is going to be on that, but they're progressing along on schedule with this. And then the old administration building will be used for other VA offices that are associated with the National Cemetery system. So this is the end of the construction site here. Then up ahead on the right, you'll see the administration building is off to the right with a staging area here just before it. A lot of times the hearse and the funeral party will meet up here prior to heading to the, I believe they call it a columbarium, or the ceremonial location at the different shelters that they do. And now we're entering the rotary that's right before the first shelter, and also is right, the access to Abel Cemetery is right after that. So now we're turning back onto the road that we were on prior to reversing course. Okay, at this point, we've actually passed that first shelter and we're turning onto the gravel road that goes back into Abel Cemetery. There's a small sign that marks it up from the front area. And then there's this sign here on the right side that's marked with it. There's a little squirrel on it, or a raccoon. I'm not exactly sure if that's supposed to indicate the pets that are also buried back there or something. This road It's a slow ride back in here. It's kind of like a gravel base, but over time there's a lot of dirt mixed with it. It's not a smooth ride. There's some muddy spots as you come in here, and occasional branches that drop across the road also. So it's kind of a downhill when you first come in, and in this area here tends to stay a little moist with the rain, so there's some muddy areas. And then you pull back up out of this little dip, continue further back in. And then on the left side here, there's an old rusty sign that somebody pretty much shot up, so it's probably a no hunting sign. You continue back, hit another little muddy spot right in here, and then you get into an area that's a little more open. You get sunlight out here, still well sheltered by the trees. Still feel pretty isolated out here. Then you have a bend that comes off to the right here. And like I was saying earlier about the wildlife, there's a wild turkey running around out here. Usually you'll see several of them. At this particular time there was only one out here, but it's not uncommon to see a group of 5 of them trucking around. Like I said, you see them, a lot of deer, and also foxes in the area. So as we continue down, the road will bend back around to the left, and you'll see the opening, and then up on the hill is the actual Abel Cemetery. So just ahead you see the opening appear, and that's the cemetery up on top of the hill, and the road will continue to the left of it. In this area here it's a little muddy also. So you have the main cemetery right in this center section that we're looking at, and then off to the right side is some where the little pet cemetery seems to be. So from this point we continue up the hill. We're coming alongside the cemetery, and there's a little area to park off to the right, but the road continues back here, so continuing back just to go to where the end is and the sort of grass loop that you drive around. Back in this section here, this road loops around a couple of trees that are set here. This is pretty much like a grass driveway here, but you have a couple of trees that set right in the middle of this little loop. You loop back and then you come back into sight of the cemetery, so you could actually stay back in that back area and be kind of hidden from the cemetery itself. And then I pull up here and park. Okay, after getting out of the car, you start walking up to the top of the hill here, and you can see some of the grave sites. Some are marked with small stones, others have the larger headstones. These, I believe, are the Abel family for which the cemetery is named. Not quite sure what some of these other little markers are for, whether it was pets or whether it's part of the family, because there's a series of rather bizarre sets of initials, or there's rather weird names that are in there. Some you'll see them as we go along here. A couple more Abel family members. And then there's other family names in there also, and I'm not sure if they're relatives um, whose names have changed through marriage or what. And of course, military marker in there also that you can see. And then we see some of the little markers. Here's one for Granny. The prior one was MFA, which I'm not quite sure. Another one that says Tim. Another MFA. There's a couple that are really, really faded and hard to read. There's one that's EMA. So there could be initials of Abel family members. It could be oh, that was a dragonfly. Sorry about that. I wondered what I was looking at. Okay. Continue on. There's another marker here that says Daddy. I'm not sure if they marked that for the person that's buried here and they just put that as a special marker to go in conjunction with the headstone. Another one here, I think that one said Kenji. There's SUG, Fatty. That must be a pet name. One that says Mom. Another military marker. And there was even one in there that was marked Granny. This is the area where previous when I filmed, there was a little couple markers here, and now somebody came back here and put this gravel and these stepping stones on top and added the wire wrap around there, because one of the graves looked like it had been dug up. Here's another marker for duck. And I'll throw in at the end of this footage the shot that I had before, where the one had been dug up and what that site looked like prior. So this has been a change over the last week. And then from here, we're coming back around to the headstones again. These are the other markers. This is one that I'm not quite sure why it's here, but don't hate the player, hate the game. And then there's a marker for Wayne, for Patsy, an MWN, one for Monk, and then the flagpole that they have here. Then off in the back area here, this is as you get off to the side of the Abel Cemetery. There's a clearing that goes back in here. I don't know if people have just dumped some junk back here, but there's some things back here like old wash tub and metal drums and things like that. There's the old metal drum. And it looks like some of the grave stuff was dumped back there in an old wash tub or a watering tub or something like that. And I think this area here just backs up onto the Quantico, the back base area where they actually do the range exercises, because occasionally you'll hear some explosions in the background. Now this footage is from the previous shooting that I did up here, and I just wanted to show you that some of the military guard come out for the honor guard that comes out for some of these ceremonies. So these are Marines that are staging for an upcoming ceremony that's going to be held, and this happened to be out here that day that I drove up. So I just wanted to include that so you get an idea of how they conduct the ceremonies. This is also the extra footage of the cemetery, the Abel Cemetery. That's the little dog area, or that's in that area that's fenced in now, that has the white gravel. And this was the one site that was dug up. So now that's all the white gravel and the stepping stones and the white gate surrounding that.